What made Dragon Ball Z such a cultural phenomenon? Was it the beautiful artwork of mangaka Akira Toriyama? The quirky and surprisingly complex characters? Was it the vibrant and lived-in world? It's the fights. It's the fights. It's no secret that Dragon Ball Z's action is the secret ingredient to its success. I mean, if it really was any of those other things, then the OG Dragon Ball would have been far more popular in the West than it was. So in honor of Dragon Ball Z's fights, I'm going to look back on the best of the best. But before I do, I think I need to establish some rules. Rule number 1. I'll be judging these fights based off animation, choreography, memorable moments, and overall impact on either the plot or the fanbase. Rule number 2. Only Dragon Ball Z anime fights will be allowed. So no movies, no manga, no OG Dragon Ball, no Super, or no GT. All of those deserve their own lists. Number 3. A fight can have any number of participants on either side, so group fights are allowed. And rule number 4. No curb stomps. What is a curb stomp, you might ask? Well, a curb stomp is when one combatant is clearly far more powerful than another to an absurd degree. A classic example of a curb stomp is Gohan evaporating the Cell Juniors. No sane person could look me in the eye and tell me this is a fair fight. Rule number 5. Remember, this is all just my opinion. Just because my opinion is superior to yours doesn't mean you need to get salty about it. No, okay, I'm just kidding. But let's not take a silly list about fictional fights too seriously now, alright? Now that we have our rules established, we can get right into the list. This is the top 7 fights in Dragon Ball Z. Number 7. Vegeta, Krillin, and Gohan versus Raku. We're kicking this list off strong with one of the best fights in the Namek saga. Following the fight between Gohan, Krillin, and Goldo, which was also pretty good in its own right, Team 3 Stars Brawl with Raku does not disappoint. With some of the best animation in the series up until that point, Vegeta has been climbing the ladder of Frieza's men since he landed on Namek, but this time he hits a wall. He utilized all of his strength, and despite taking damage, Raku just shrugs it all off with a goofy grin, and strikes back tenfold. The contrast between blows is displayed beautifully in this fight, as every attack Raku throws has immense impact. But just before Raku can finish the job, Gohan and Krillin step in, saving Vegeta and making Raku look like the average Brit.
Oi bruv, you got a license for that free speech?
And this part of the fight is one of the reasons it isn't ranked any higher, as it devolves into a curb stomp. Krillin is knocked out in a single blow, and Gohan's neck is snapped shortly after with little resistance. Another reason it barely makes the list is the lackluster conclusion, as the gang is stalling until Goku arrives, so he can one-shot Raku. However, despite my complaints, this fight is still a brutal, all-out slugfest, and an underrated one at that, as I don't hear a lot of people talking about this fight. So if you haven't seen this fight, or haven't seen it in a while, go watch it. It won't disappoint. Number 6. Piccolo versus Android 17. I really wish I could put this fight higher. This mid-arc melee between Android 17 and Piccolo is nothing short of outstanding. Despite already being replaced as the central antagonist of the arc by Cell, the androids rolling up on Kame House was still a nail-biting affair. Is Piccolo strong enough to handle the androids? Will the androids find out where Goku is? Will the fight between Piccolo and 17 draw out Cell? All these questions are swirling around the mind of a first-time viewer, and that tense feeling this fight causes is exactly what makes this fight so good. Don't get me wrong, the actual fight itself does not disappoint. Piccolo is not playing around at the beginning of this fight, as the animation and choreography are being used to show how desperate Piccolo is to end this fight quickly. But, thankfully, Piccolo does not get his way, as it appears that he and 17 are evenly matched. And this fact slowly infuriates 17. As his ego takes hits, we're treated to the hits he deals out to Piccolo. Some of my favorite things in this fight is the environmental damage that occurs throughout. Gigantic craters form, volcanoes erupt, and islands crumble beneath the weight of our combatants. And another aspect I love in this fight is the slight feeling of unease and anticipation, as many of the cutaways are showing Cell as he draws nearer to his prey. It makes the fight feel like a race against time as Cell closes in. And I can't bring up how much I love this fight without discussing one of the most creative techniques in the entire series, the Hell Zone grenade. The sky is painted with a purple and yellow hue as we discover alongside 17 just what Piccolo has been cooking up. Even if 17 negates the attack with his barrier, it still doesn't negate the effect it had on the fanbase as a whole. Unfortunately, the factor that makes this fight so tense also keeps it from getting any higher on this list. This fight has what I like to call an anti-conclusion, as Cell's arrival hard stops the conflict while creating a new one, basically pausing a fight with no hope of ever unpausing it. Also, to nitpick, the animation, while good, is far from Dragon Ball's best. However, despite these minor issues, the fight stands out as an outstanding example of Dragon Ball Z's action. Number 5. Goku vs. Cell. This one is a doozy. Goku and Cell's fantastic frenetic clash has definitely earned its spot on this list. It was already shocking enough to hear Goku outright say Cell was stronger than him earlier in the arc, but Goku volunteering to fight Cell first is a whole different story, and the fight does not disappoint, opening strong with smooth animation and dynamic choreography. And the choreography of this fight is some of the best the series has to offer. The moments that personally stick out to me are the scenes where Goku narrowly avoids a ring out, the high-speed brawl in the air, and the flurry of punches and kicks that occur shortly after Cell decides that ring outs are lame, and blows up the ring. This fight demonstrates the insane speeds the characters regularly exercise exceptionally well, as many fights later in the series where the characters are technically faster never feel quite as fast as this encounter. This fight utilizes the fact that Cell knows all of the Z-Fighter's techniques, and he uses them to great effect, using Krillin's Destructo Disc and combining Tien's Multiform technique and Piccolo's Special Beam Cannon. He even uses 17's barrier when Goku is pulling up Vegeta by shooting a bunch of Ki Blasts all at once. But by far, the best moment of this fight is when Goku is seemingly firing off a Kamehameha towards the Earth, only to use instant transmission to teleport right in Cell's face and fire straight into his perfect jawline. However, there is a reason this fight isn't any higher. The animation, while phenomenal in parts, is very inconsistent. Half of the animation in this fight ranges from mediocre to just outright bad.
What the hell is even that?
And on top of that, the fight's ending is anticlimactic, as Goku just gives up, because the fight is actually just a red herring for the real climax of the story. If the fight had a more climactic conclusion, and the animation was consistently this good, then it would be much higher. Number 4. Goku vs. Majin Vegeta. The rematch between the malicious Majin Vegeta and the stoic Son Goku is one of the most iconic confrontations not only in Dragon Ball Z, but in all of anime. This fight has been boiling just under the surface ever since their first confrontation. That may or may not be further up on the list. But up until now, Vegeta's resentment has only been exhibited in angry glances and snarky remarks. But Vegeta letting Babdi's magic influence him brings all of the insecurities and resentments to the surface. That's one of the best aspects of this fight, the motivation. Most of the fights in Dragon Ball Z are motivated by one's wish to test their own strength, as a means to an end to receive Dragon Balls, or the fate of the world. This fight, however, is personal. Vegeta gives like 5 outstanding Vegeta monologues throughout the course of this fight, detailing just how badly his pride has been hit over the course of the series, and what that actually means to him. But none of that would matter if the fight itself wasn't amazing. Every blow from Goku and Vegeta has impact and weight. There are so many creative uses of the environment, like Vegeta using the darkness of a cave to his advantage, trying to murder Goku with a spike, smashing each other so hard into rocks they're stuck inside, Vegeta using his ki to trap Goku inside the rock, all while taunting him, then Goku using the boulder he was trapped in as a gauntlet? As you've no doubt seen, this fight is very well animated, and the way this fight displays how evenly matched these characters seem is commendable. But that's the reason this fight is only as high as it is. The fact that Goku wasn't actually going all out hurts this fight in hindsight. This fight is meant to be a long-awaited rematch between rivals at their best, to prove who is the best, but Goku is not at his best in this fight. There is an in-universe reason why he doesn't go Super Saiyan 3, but it undermines what this fight is supposed to represent. And normally, I'd complain about this fight's ending, but since it leads to the best moment in Dragon Ball's history and the climactic conclusion of Vegeta's arc, I'll let it slide. Number 3. The Universe vs. Kid Buu. The final battle of Dragon Ball Z is also one of its best. I'll be the first to admit that by the time this fight started, the arc fatigue was setting in hard. Buu had already long outstayed its welcome. However, the conclusion we finally got is one for the ages. The menacing Majin Buu makes her the fiercest foe that Goku has ever had to face in Z, and Goku treats him like it, giving Buu everything he has in his arsenal right away. However, Buu disrespects Goku by emoting repeatedly. The animation in this fight is the best in this series by far. It's obvious the animators thought this was going to be the end because they gave it their all in this fight. This sequence where Goku and Buu are shooting short-range ki blasts at each other and the sky lights up in fire, it's one of my favorites in the entire series. Goku's acrobatic movements, contrasting with Buu's freaky anatomy and his weird magic powers, are a delight to watch. Since this fight is taking place on the empty planet of the Kais, Goku and Buu can go all out. The sky goes black, with lightning all around, and mountains crumble into pieces under their sheer power, and sinkholes are formed all over the planet. Eventually, Goku is backed into a corner and forced to use Super Saiyan 3. And the shot of their clash, from Vegeta's perspective, amazing. The rest of round 2 is also amazing. With very few reused frames, each attack feels like it has greater impact, especially with the amazing choreography displayed. The scene with Buu and a ball bouncing around the planet, pissing on the laws of physics, is a highlight to be sure. As well as Goku's beautifully animated Kamehameha. After that Kamehameha, we get the first of our many tagouts as Goku is gassed, so Vegeta steps in. However, he is quickly disposed of, and Goku hops back into the fray, as this triggers yet another iconic Vegeta monologue that occurs while Goku and Buu will continue their brawl. A monologue that inspires Vegeta to keep fighting despite knowing he can't win. In fact, Vegeta is the one who formulates the plan to rev the Earthlings and stall for time for the Spirit Bomb. But if I were to have any complaints about this fight, it's the formulaic wait for character to charge special attack while watching other characters get fodderized. However, it is touching to see how much Fat Buu and Hercule care for each other, as Fat Buu is spit out of Kid Buu and joins the fight. The conclusion to this fight is the best finish in all of Dragon Ball, using the Spirit Bomb, a technique that up until this point has only been used as a red herring, as the finishing blow is genius and wraps up the series well. This fight is phenomenal. One of the best in the entire series, consistently amazing animation, creative choreography, numerous and memorable moments, and the best finish in the series. However, a large portion of this fight is a repetitive stall, keeping it from getting to the upper echelons of this list. Number 2. Goku vs. Frieza. The climactic clash between the ferocious Frieza and the headstrong hero, Son Goku, was bound to make it somewhere on this list. How could it not? It's as iconic as the number 1 spot on this list, which you all can figure out due to the process of elimination. And it's iconic for a reason. There are many moments that stick out in this fight. Goku's strategic use of ki underwater, Frieza throwing a mountain at Goku and ping-ponging him around the arena, and Goku's Kaioken times 20 Kamehameha. On top of memorable moments, the animation in this fight is a sight to behold, most of the time. It can't look consistently pretty for nearly 20 episodes straight. Yeah, to address the elephant in the room, there is a reason this fight isn't number 1. The fight is a little too long in the anime, and by a little too long, I mean this fight starts on episode 86 and ends on episode 105. That's 19 episodes. To put that into perspective, the Goku-Frieza fight takes up a season and a half of the average anime. However, let's not dwell on the negatives, there's still a lot of positives to talk about, like the massively increased scale of the Spirit Bomb, or, I don't know, the most iconic transformation in anime history, and the quality of the fight does not go down at this point. This portion of the fight showcases some of the best animation and choreography of the entire fight. The way Goku casually folds Frieza at this point is so cathartic. However, Frieza gets tired of being folded like a piece of paper, so he heavily damages the planet's core, gets swole, and then still gets his ass kicked. The best moment surrounding this fight is when Dende trolls Frieza by allowing him to make the wish first, knowing it doesn't matter because Frieza can't speak Namekian. Completely enraged by getting dabbed on by a literal child, Frieza throws all caution to the wind, and instead of figuring out how to escape the planet, he says, fuck it, and tries to drag Goku down with him. Who was completely okay with letting Space Hitler live, by the way. However, Frieza is taking so many L's today that Goku, of all people, outsmarts him, and he's cut down by his own attack. Goku, for a second time, tries to let Frieza live, but Frieza is so anti-pacifism, he attacks the guy who kicked his ass when he was a full person. And the result is obvious. The ending shot is fantastic, by the way. The Frieza fight is one of the best fights in the series, with great animation and so many moments that stick out in my mind. But before we get to the best fight in Dragon Ball Z, let's look over some honorable mentions. Number 1. Goku vs. Vegeta. You know a fight is great when the opening poses are iconic. And the poses aren't just cool, they also represent several factors going into this fight. It represents Vegeta's worldview, a super elite Saiyan prince looking down on the lowly commoner. The pose also represents Goku's role in this fight, the underdog staring up at the mountain he must climb. After the harrowing events committed by the Saiyans earlier in the arc, Goku is itching to remove the pompous prince from his throne. And what a joy it is to watch Goku try. This fight illustrates the movements of these characters better than just about every fight on this list, showing these flying martial artists whizzing around the arena. The fight also gets points for heavily utilizing my favorite technique in all of Dragon Ball, the Kaioken. A strength and speed boost with a massive downside, as too much usage of the technique damages the user's body. However, that fact doesn't matter to Goku, as he needs the Kaioken just to keep up with Vegeta. Goku's efforts result in massive bruises to Vegeta's ego, which leads to the most iconic moment in this fight, the massive beam struggle. During said struggle, Goku is forced to use Kaioken ×4, which leaves his body in agony. But no matter how much pain Goku's body is in, it's dwarfed by the damage to Vegeta's pride. It's so injured that Vegeta creates an artificial moon to transform into the Ozaru. This section of the fight is almost as good as the first portion. Watching Vegeta brutalize Goku while he struggles to make his spirit bomb man, I'm running out of descriptive words. The point is that it's great. The best part about this fight is that every participant adds something unique to the encounter. We just went over Goku and Vegeta's one-on-one showdown. Krillin throws the spirit bomb. Gohan bounces it towards Vegeta and crushes Vegeta under his weight as an Ozaru. Even Yajirobe has several clutch moments, cutting Vegeta's tail and distracting Vegeta long enough for Gohan to transform. This fight has everything. Great animation, countless memorable moments, some of the best choreography in the entire series, and a fantastic conclusion with the Prince of All Saiyans running away with his tail betwixt his legs. Well, that was my list. What about you all at home? Is there a fight I left out or underrated? Leave your answer in the comments below. And if you like the video, like the video. And if you're new, subscribe, and make sure to ring that little bell for notifications. I was the Boomer Zoomer, and I'm signing off.